So now, onto my trip from around the world. We held a TOD Summit in New Delhi with our team of developers as we started thinking about TOD 2.0, and to address some of the growing pains we have as we continue to evolve the platform, which is, as many of you recognize probably today, it's huge. Everything from hire to retire, payroll, deployment notes, and everything else that goes along with that. So it's a huge application. So I spent the past 14 days traveling from Irvine to Delhi and even over to London. And as you can see in the picture, it was, I've been around the world. It's been quite a travel. So this is our development team. And going across the top, you have myself, Lucky Ghuman, who's here in our Irvine office, Vivek Sharma, who's our chief engineer and works here out of the Irvine office. We have Siddharth, who is our WordPress, and he actually works very closely with Dick on our public website and and our learning management system. Damon, who is our database. He's a database guru actually, and is responsible for many of the data architectures that we have. We have Rahul, who does our he's our tester. Alok, who's been with us for a very long time and actually was our #2 developer on the team, and does all of the APIs, UI, and those attributes. Our #3 developer from the team is Jaspreet, who is an incredible developer. And if you've ever used time card, expense reporting, ever gotten paid, Jaspreet was the one who developed those applications. And then we have Lucky. Yes, we have 2 Luckies on our team, one here in California and one in India. And Lucky is our mobile app developer and has been responsible for the TOD mobile application. We have Shiva Ganesh, who's very new to the team and actually is going to have an impressive career. I was really taken by this individual, and he's definitely brings a lot to the table. Ashutosh, who's our React developer, working with Lucky initially, and then we'll be working on the TOD 2.0 team. Parminder, or she likes to be called Jyoti, is one of our UI developers. Priyanka, who is the individual who helped search get fast and all that. She worked on our Elasticsearch, our RabbitMQ, and all the messaging and coordination of data between the different elements of the platform. Diksha, who actually is responsible for a lot of the configuration control, developing the automated pipelines to build the application, and the like, and then the manager in India, which is Himanshu. So here's, this is the place where we're working. I thought it would be interesting to share a little bit about what a WeWork looks like in India. It was actually a really nice place to work. But, as you can tell, they're all different. For the guys who are working in DC, this looks nothing like the WeWork you work from. But it was a very nice, comfortable place to work. So our team has been working hard on our TOD 2.0. Big shout out to Pauline, who joined us and teed up, not only took us through the 2.0, but also teed up the challenge that we had for our boot camp, which is one of the things we wanted to accomplish since we're changing technologies. Microsoft has deprecated Xamarin. And so they're moving to React. We're moving to material design, which should be more intuitive and easier for the users. And most importantly, we've asked Pauline to rethink the application coming in and to make it easier, faster, more intuitive, and a better experience for the users. And we've gotten through the design of the client portal first. And I've got to tell you, I'm impressed, and I'm really excited to see how she's gonna help us evolve the rest of the platform, which is definitely on the roadmap. So this is a quick view of the TOD 2.0, what we're starting to look at. You'll notice it looks very different than what we've had in the past. A lot more visual and a lot less. And the application is going to do more for you. So, for example, rather than prompting the client for 30 different pieces of information, we're going to actually ask them for the solicitation number, go out to FPDS, which Blake has actually helped us develop the connections to. We're going to pull that data into the platform for us. And this is another. Now, the BD team is going to be excited about this part of it, because not only is it going to be easier to look at what a project looks like and see who's on your bench, who's actually on the bench, which I think is a very obscure piece of the system today. The bidding tool, clients are going to be able to get to your bids right in the platform. So we don't have to send them to them. And as they're selecting people, they're going to be able to see this information. The whole idea behind this is facilitate communication and make the application easier to use, so we get more adoption, which means more what? More revenue, right? All right. So this is the team working in the conference room. And what we did, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that we wanted to do was get them introduced to the new technology. We wanted them to also think differently about how we're doing development, because it's been 8 years since we started the TOD project. And there's a lot of old habits. There's a lot of old ways of doing things, and we wanted to improve that. So we broke them up into 3 teams. Pauline came on with a small design, something we could do in 2 days with for the UI. We asked them to design it, to define how they were going to configuration control it, how they were going to code it, how they were going to manage it, and we took them through this. And they learned a lot, and we learned a lot about them as well, which was quite interesting. Here's another view of the team. They're a formidable bunch, and I got to tell you, I've been worked with a lot of development teams over the last 42 years since I started my career, and we've got some very impressive individuals across the entire team. Okay, so one of the things we did ask them to do, because it's important for everybody to get to know each other, is get up and present a little bit about themselves. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. One is I wanted to see who are the introverts, people less comfortable in the front of the room, people more comfortable about presenting ideas. But likewise, it also gave us an opportunity to get to know each other, right? And it was rapid fire. Each person got about 60 seconds to go through and just introduce themselves, tell a little bit about their background, their journey to how they got to where they were. And that included myself, Lucky, and Vivek. And then each member of the team. So you've got Alok and his wife, Diksha. As I mentioned, Alok's was our second developer on the team. And Diksha, they actually met as a function of working together. They were not married when we hired them, and they met and eventually got married, which is super fun. We've got Rahul, who presented a little bit about his background, where he came from, his family. Daman, and it was interesting because Daman and Vivek and others have knew each other from earlier, either college or from being connected to people that they went to college with or worked at before they came to SMA. And so they shared some of that, which I hadn't seen before, which I thought was kind of fun. Lucky talked a little bit about his family and his journey and how he, where he came from to get to there. And Lucky's actually an extremely accomplished developer. He's worked for some very large firms and had a lot of responsibility. So for him to be, to come to this, to where we are today and be a part of this team, we're very fortunate to have someone of his caliber on the team. And he loves working, he loves what he's doing. We're giving him a lot of latitude to do interesting things. And so easy to keep it connected. Now, here's another marriage on the team. This is Lucky's wife, Priyanka, who is a super accomplished developer, has a master's in computer science, has been responsible for very complex attributes of the system, which include our Elasticsearch, the pipelines that run between the SQL database and the Elasticsearch database, and keeping all that data in sync. She's done an incredible job. And then as soon as we got that done, we felt the need to move to the Azure equivalents of those tools, get off open source types of technology and move to Microsoft solutions. And she was able to manage that brilliantly. And again, very impressive individual. So we have now this on the left is Lucky's sister, Parminder, or she likes to be called Jyoti. And she also has come to us as a developer, does a lot of the UI work. A little earlier in her software development career, but again, doing a phenomenal job of pulling things together. On the right is Ashutosh, who is a React developer and who's working very closely with Lucky for something you're going to see happen probably next week. We've released the next generation of the mobile app, because as I mentioned, we had to get off the Xamarin platform because Microsoft deprecated it, which is one of the challenges you always have with development platforms. Even though these are things that lots of developers are using, they made the choice to deprecate that in favor of React. So we had to make the transition, and he's been working with Lucky on that. And we'll actually probably do a town hall on the mobile app itself. I think it'd be good for us to walk you through that, and maybe give you some of the ideas of some of the things we changed. And the cool thing about it is there's more capability in the mobile app today than there was before. Shiva Ganesh, one of the newest members of the team, what they call in India as a fresher or an intern. He was just coming out of his internship, and is going to be, permanent member of the team. Impressive individual. Actually, I've been really, really pleased with what he's been able to accomplish. He actually did a lot of work during the boot camp on the coding for the team he was on, and I think they did an incredible job. And he likes basketball. He rides motorcycles. What's wrong? There's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, he's taken some interesting journeys throughout India on his motorcycle. He's got one of those big, kind of cafe racer bikes, similar to the road bikes that we have here. And then Siddharth, who runs our he's responsible for all the website and React, or not React, but the WordPress and the learning management system and all those things. We're super well-spoken individual, very professional. Was also really pleased to actually get to know all of the developers. And I hadn't met him before in person, so that was also nice to be able to do. So one of the things that we did is we wanted to recognize people for their earlier accomplishments. So we did provide some awards. You probably can't really see this, but it's a glass shard, and it says TOD Summit, New Delhi, February 2024. And we also gave that to the team, and and Notebook. And of course, you can't go all the way from California without See's Candy. And I got to give a shout out to Lucky and Vivek, because as you know, I'm still working on my wrist. And so they actually carried a lot of that, actually carried all of those things out there. And we're very gracious about doing that. So thanks, guys. I certainly appreciate that. Okay. So, this is not my norm, but I got a little encouragement to get out and see a little bit about what's going on in Delhi. I'm happiest when I can go back to my hotel room and actually, do my day job. But I did get encouraged to get out a little bit. And so we went to a holy place, actually, Qutb Minar, which is a monument. And it's got a super interesting history. And randomly, it also was the last day of Ramadan, which is why there were so many people there, because originally this was built by the Indians as a holy place, as well as it was used by astronomers as early as the 1500s, maybe even before that, to map the stars. And that tower was people would make pilgrimages there to actually be able to observe the stars from the top of the tower and map those things out. And when the India was invaded by the Mongols, and ultimately the Muslims took control of this, it became a holy place for them, which is why so many made the pilgrimage there on that last day of Ramadan. And you can see a couple of different pictures. It was myself, Vivek, Alok, Himanshu, who's Vivek's brother, and then also Sandeep, who is a friend of Vivek's from university. And it's interesting because as we were talking about, things I've done, we're sharing, our backgrounds. It turns out that after, I got to SMA, my former business partner had done a project for a company on logistics and had outsourced their software development to Sandeep, who was the BD guy here in the US. So again, it's interesting, small world, right? You go, 7,000, almost, 8,000 miles away to run into somebody who's worked with somebody that which is always an interesting thing. But there's a lot of history at this site, and the picture of it lit. We actually went to a restaurant behind the monument and waited until nighttime when they turned on the lights so we could actually get a picture of it at night, which was really cool. All right, so just a couple other pictures to give you a little bit of color of India. This is actually in Delhi. This is a very, where we were in Delhi was a very nice part of Delhi. Not that Delhi's not a nice place writ large, but this was, very close to the WeWork. This is, a street vendor selling tea. You see the tuk-tuks. We actually, went back and forth between the hotel and the WeWork in those tuk-tuks, some apartment buildings nearby. But, in addition to that, just to give you an idea what's behind the gates in Delhi, on the left is our hotel. You can see the fountains and other nice things. So, a lot of things you can't see from the streets, but once you get inside the wall, they're beautiful, right? This is the WeWork building we were in, which was incredibly nice. And, as you saw the inside pictures, the outside was equally as nice as being a part of that. Okay, so another picture of the team on the right with Lucky photobombing us, or actually taking the picture. And then we had a chance to spend a little bit of time with Vivek and his family. Diksha, who is Alok's wife, is Vivek's cousin. Himanshu is his brother, and then we had lunch with his wife and their little baby. And an interesting thing, this was in our hotel, and I was telling a little bit about my background, the fact that Donna's stepdad's Chinese, and I'd learned to eat very early, in our relationship, learned to eat with chopsticks out of necessity, and they all wanted to be taught how to use chopsticks. So here they're showing everybody how, that apparently I must have been a good professor, because they were all able to eat with chopsticks at the end of this very nice restaurant inside the hotel. And, Lucky, after we finished on Friday, Lucky left Saturday morning to go to spend a little bit of time with his parents. Yeah, I think he flew back yesterday. He and I were probably in the air together, me from London and him from India. But we were, this is his family farm on the left, some pictures of flowers that I think his mother is growing. And then, Lucky presenting during the boot camp. And, this trip was definitely, in addition to having been in DC the week before I went to Delhi, coming out of Delhi, I went directly to London. As many of you know, we actually have opened an office in London, where, it's an actual London, based branch of SMA, or what we'll call SMA UK. And we've brought on Graham Robson, who's in the middle of the picture between AJ and I, here in London. We were just finishing up a meeting with with the king, so we were just coming out of Buckingham Palace, talking to them about the principles of the MOD and how we could help. Not true, actually, but we did have meetings right around the corner from there. We met with just to name a few. We met with Leidos, we met with Northrop Grumman, we met with Expro, and other firms. And here's the really cool thing. We're just getting to the throes of finishing the incorporation in the UK of this entity. And we've already finished our first engagement, and we're starting our next one. So there's a revenue stream already starting as a function of this. And I think it'd be I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that when AJ first came back to the firm, AJ 2.0 at SMA, we sat down and talked about a lot of strategy. In fact, I've tell everybody who will listen to me, the reason I'm still here is because AJ came back to the firm, because things were not great before that. And AJ and I sat down, we chatted about strategy and where we thought we should take things. And one of the things that AJ said straight away is we've got to go international. We've got to get into other places outside the US, because a lot of our clients are trying to take their solutions outside the US. They're also trying to bring solution, and UK firms trying to bring solutions back into the US or into the US. And there's a market there for that. And we've done this opportunistically over time, but what we hadn't actually formalized this. And just to give you an idea, there are really three, well, there's more, but there's three countries that their acquisition process and system mirror the United States. The next largest from the US is, in fact, the UK, and followed by Australia. And we've been looking for the right person. We didn't do this just to put a check in the box. We've spent the last 10 years, getting exposure to it, thinking about it, working through it, trying to find the right person to actually, ensure that when we stepped off, we had success. We got, and just to give you an idea of how well integrated we are, and even our brand. There are people in the UK who, Shipley's got a good decent presence there, but there's a lot of people that are very interested in us coming, and gave us some great recommendations for some folks. And Graham, it was recommended that we bring Graham on, and we've done that, and he's already started to generate revenue. So I think right now that market is actually ripe for us to engage and to capture market share, because we got competitors there who are shrinking, pulling out, et cetera, because of issues they're having here in the States. And so we're gonna capture that market, and we've already been successful doing that. We've just finished an effort with X-Pro, and we've got efforts starting with Leidos. Both very interesting firms. One's oil and gas, and we all know who Leidos is, who's space and defense. So it was a great week. That last picture that Sophie just blurred by really quickly was a picture of me getting ready to head out of Dodge yesterday afternoon in London. After finishing up some meetings, I headed to the airport and was took a selfie again. Not something Jacque does very often, but I did take a selfie to share that I'm heading home and I'm on my way back. So got back last night, and here we are on the town hall this morning. So it's been I want to thank everybody for attending this week's town hall. It's big thank you to the TOD development team and Graham in the UK. It was a great couple of weeks.